Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So you just got me for the day, I'm afraid. I'll be talking games, movies, TV, stuff from the week, and anything else that pops into my tiny little mind. If you're checking us out on YouTube, could you just do us a favour and click the subscribe button? If you're not checking us out on YouTube, do jump over. There's often the odd video and things on there, so a little subscribe would go a long way. Thanks. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Doesn't often happen, but I had to restart that. I made a microphone adjustment and it went horribly wrong. I thought I was securing it a little bit more and no, opposite. Nearly fell in my drink, that's how bad it was. Oh dear. So, not gonna lie, this week's podcast I'm already feeling is probably a little light. For various reasons, a multitude of reasons, I've not been feeling it. That's the short version. Just make another adjustment. I'm sure it'll go well. I think it's just maybe it's just the way of the world. I feel like this week there's been nothing, literally nothing. There's been stuff and stuff that we'll discuss. But as long-time listeners will know, there are points in the day, there are points in the week where I'll run to my list, jot something down, and I've just not had that urge this week. And it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the podcast anymore. It's not that at all. Love podcasts, love doing a podcast. It's not that. And it's not like some kind of funk or some kind of depression or any of that stuff that I try not to talk too much about these days. And yeah, there's been ups and downs in the week, but which week doesn't have ups and downs, especially at a time like this? Maybe it was just a need to not have that. Maybe that was it. I don't know. I think if this time next week it's the same, then that might indicate something over something else. But it's that thing, is it? I already know that I've got stuff planned this week. I'm doing stuff this week, which in the current climate is almost impossible. But I already know that I've got stuff on this week. So maybe it was just a quiet week. So let's start today's podcast with a joke. And I don't mean knock. And I don't mean I'm going to tell you a joke. I'm going to tell you about something that was funny. I'm already laughing. Oh my god, I'm already laughing. I've been laughing about this for days. And every time it crosses my mind, I just laugh. Oh my god, I just laugh. It's Right, I'll try and get through it without laughing. So, Saturday, it's lunchtime. We're all sat around the table. And just sort of passing the time, that kind of conversation where you say, I said to my middle daughter, I said, hey, I'm going to the cinema on Wednesday. She was like, alright. I was like, would you like me to tell you what film I'm going to see? And she was like, no. And I cracked up. It was hilarious. She was so deadpan. Just, nope. And I said to her, I was like, I kind of feel like that's the end of the conversation. And her response was, yeah. And because I expected it to be like, oh no, go on, tell me what you're going to say. Or like the child version of, I'm joking. But no. She was just like, I don't want you to tell me, and I am happy for this conversation to end. Oh, it's been killing me. It's been slaying me every time I think about it. It's absolutely been just destroying me. She is the comedian of the bunch, and I just hope that she can keep it. Like, comedians work for years to get that level of deadpan, instantaneous response. It was a thing of beauty. Awesome. So, same child later in the day, sat next to me, and she's like, why is your tummy still big? And I was like, I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm trying to lose it. I'm running 5 days a week now, so I'm trying to get rid of it. It's just taking a little while, and I'm doing my best. Apparently my best isn't good enough, and I was like, I was like, sort of joking with her. I'm like, I'm doing it so that you won't be embarrassed of me. She was like, yes, but I am still embarrassed of you. Honestly, just brutal honesty. My eldest was like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't even know what embarrassment is. Like, I don't care. Like, that's absolutely perfect. I've always said, there was this whole thing like, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, when they did, I'm pretty sure it was like the original Sober October, the first ever Sober October. It was about, it was a weight loss challenge. So they went down the route of trying to lose weight, and they actively encouraged fat shaming. And when you're in like on a, I don't know what you call it, like in the public eye, like the fat shaming they got was brutal, like Twitter and just like constant non-stop. I think Tom still carries on the Bert's fat stuff even now, and I think the first Sober October was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I've said for a long time, I'm a person that fat shaming would work on. I don't endorse it as a practice for other people. I don't sort of condone it in any way, shape or form, other than if it was directed at me. And we will come back to this subject later. So it's just this deadpan nature that my daughter has got. She is, I say to her all the time, she is hilarious, and it's just that I want that to stay. I want that to remain. I want her to keep hold of that. And I think if she did, if she was able to hang on to it, it will serve her well in life. Comedy's been a huge part of my life. I imagine by now anybody that is a long time listener will know that comedy's been a huge part of my life. And seeing that comedic, I don't know, whatever sort of develop is very entertaining. She is equal parts crazy and hilarious. So, touching a little on the on the belly that I'm trying desperately to get rid of. It's Monday, so I weighed myself this morning. I weigh myself once a week because that's how I always did it through my weight loss journey. Get weighed on a Monday, then you know where you are for the week. Obviously, you know, I've gone through another change in the last 3 weeks. We're coming up to nearly a month. And that change is very visible, especially when you get on the scales and a week has passed. 5 days worth of running, 5 days worth of working out, 5 days of vegetables for lunch, vegetables for tea, 5 days of that, it's not even a cheat day, it's one cheat meal. Step on the scales, you guessed it, I weighed exactly the same as I did last week. So it comes back to that thing, and I haven't mentioned this before, it comes back to that thing of all I'm sort of looking at is, so what's the point? What is the point to getting up an hour earlier, to getting out there? You know, one day it was throwing it down with rain, running and sweating and not enjoying it, and you know, and all of that. What's the point when the outcome is, yeah, you didn't lose any weight this week? And I know, you know, diet and exercise. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm doing the exercise, and I'm pretty sure, you know, I had for tea, I had a chili, slow cooker chili. It was delicious, and for a pudding dessert afters, a protein bar. For lunch I had chopped veg. For breakfast I had protein porridge. Get your carbs in early so you can burn them off all day, and so on. So, you know, I had some nuts for lunchtime, and I did have a protein bar. And there you go. That's what happens That's the result of not losing any weight. And I'm not bitter about it at all. As I'm sure we're aware at this point in time, I am wondering what the hell is the point to it all. But on the flip side, I think I've done it enough now that I'm kind of looking at, I don't really see a point of me going, well, I'm just going to give up. So a readdress of the diet is obviously in order. I'm not sure where things are going to be cut from, Maybe I'm eating too many vegetables. Who knows? If I'm honest, a couple of protein bars today is an actual, that's me cutting down from last week. So, maybe that'll help. But I am starting to wonder a little on the what's the point. As I mentioned, I'm going to the cinema. Not going to say what I'm going to see, and I'm not going to say why I'm going to the cinema. I'm going to see a film, and my clue would be it is a film I've seen before, but I don't think I've ever seen it at the cinema. So I'll leave it there and we'll discuss it next week. I am going to watch this film at the IMAX. There is an IMAX in York now, which I was very happy about until around about 48 hours ago. Cineworld announced that they aren't making enough money because there are no movies out and because of the virus situation and so on and so forth. So they are closing all of their cinemas in America and the UK. Initially it was, it won't be until next year. Within 12 hours of that, it was going to be in the next couple of weeks. And today they've announced it will be this week. It will actually be the day after, touch wood, that I'm going. So, fingers crossed, it's still going to be open when we try and go. But I've had a lot of thought about it, and I've had a lot of pondering about it. And they're like, there's not enough Hollywood movies to keep the doors open. Fair, I'm pretty sure even Disney and Marvel and all of those cats, even they've put. I think that I saw a thing the other day that said that there won't be a Marvel movie released this year. Now, I'm pretty sure the next one on the cards was Black Widow. Honestly, if there was a film I could care less about, I don't know what it might be, because I am not a Scarlett Johansson fan, not a huge fan of the character of Black Widow, and I feel very much done with the Marvel stuff. I think it's going to need to be something fairly big to bring me out of retirement. Not enough movies to keep the doors open. I was looking at the list of things that they're showing at the moment. Tenant, which I fancy seeing. Bill and Ted. Face the Music is this one called? Which for a long time I was like, that sounds like the worst idea going. And then all the reviews have been super positive, so I imagine I'll give that a go at some point, but I don't think I'm going to go to the cinema to see it. I just feel like, admittedly, up until all the virus stuff kicked off, cinema was at its absolute peak. Like, anything Marvel puts out is going to be $1 billion straight off the bat. DC were hitting a point where they could pretty much put out a $1 billion movie. I imagine that presumably DC is released through Warner Brothers, because I was going to say presumably Warner Brothers are doing reasonably well. I presume Tenet will be released through Warner Brothers. So I personally feel that cinema is absolutely at its highest point. Didn't realise that Cineworld are the biggest cinema chain in the world. Wonder if the clue's in the name. You're telling me that they didn't make a couple of quid from films like Endgame, Infinity War, Captain Marvel, Black Panther? They didn't make any money from those films and couldn't afford to put a little bit away for a rainy day. Sounds like bad business to me. It baffles me, all of these businesses that are like, we're closing because of the fact that we haven't been able to get paid for the last couple of weeks. It's like, okay, you couldn't keep going for a little while. I'm sure all of the CEOs will be crying themselves to sleep over the loss of the, millions and millions and millions that they no doubt have. But yeah, it's just a baffling thing. Somebody who's been on the podcast before, filmmaker, Miles, I've seen him sort of sending out things saying it's a real shame that Cineworld is closing its doors, and maybe they should look at doing something with more indie-based films. Obviously, he is an indie filmmaker, you can see where the connection there would be. But I was saying today, I was like, why aren't we looking at doing other things? Why aren't we looking at doing, spectacles? And there's been a lot of these drive-in things, these themed drive-in stuff. Why aren't we doing more things like that? And again, it comes back to the virus and how would you social distance to do some of these things. But surely there must be other options than just being like, yeah, we're going to shut the doors and fire everyone. But what do I know? I don't own a massive multinational corporation. Speaking of movies, I haven't watched any TV. I need to get back to watching The Boys. I haven't watched any of The Boys. I wasn't super enamoured with the direction it had taken, so I was a bit like, there's not a lot drawing me back to it. Might be one of those that I might wait until it's like the series is finished and then binge watch it. We shall see. I spent a week watching the Marvel movies. Not all of them. I did the Marvel movie run when I was on paternity leave, and that was good. It was good. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. Now it's one of those that there are Marvel films that I've seen a couple of times that I probably wouldn't sit down to watch again anytime soon. The aforementioned Black Panther, I thought it was only okay. Captain Marvel, I did watch, but I watched it for a reason rather than being like, oh, I absolutely have to sit and watch Captain Marvel, because again, didn't think it was all that great. But I got into a bit of a sort of run, and I was all over the shop. Certainly didn't watch them in order. For example, watched Captain Marvel, and then watched the first Avengers movie. Because I realised that they followed on from each other. Because of the Tesseract, whichever it is. So in the last week, I'd watched Avengers, the first Avengers, and then Age of Ultron. But I watched Age of Ultron first of all the films I watched. I might have watched that one first. I watched the last ones I watched were I think I went Ragnarok. So did I go, what was it, Captain Marvel, Avengers, Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame. And in there I'd also watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I'd only actually seen once. I also watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I watched originally, like when it got released on Blu-ray type thing. I watched it then, and I really didn't like it. And then I've been working up to watching it for ages, and I just haven't been able to bring myself to watch it because I was just like, no, I remember really not liking it. But I was like, oh, I'm in this flow, now's the time. If ever I'm going to watch it, now's the time. And I watched it, and I thought it was alright. I didn't mind it this time round. I would even go as far as to say as it was quite good. Was there anything else in all of that I watched? Said Ragnarok. I wasn't going to bother with Ragnarok because I've seen it loads, but it really did sort of fit in because of the spoilers, by the way, because of like the destruction of Asgard stuff, and then like in Infinity War, the obviously how Infinity War starts. So watched all those films. A lot of them I was like, yeah, I like these, I'm enjoying these. Like I say, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and I enjoyed it. It was good. However, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but I really don't like Endgame. And I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried. And I think what made it worse was, since seeing Endgame, I haven't watched Infinity War. And that was my go-to movie. I was watching that all the time. I haven't watched it since seeing Endgame, because it just ruined it for me. So I went back and I watched Infinity War, and I was like, this is a great film. Saying it now, it's going on the list. It's going on the list of perfect movies. Done, and done. Dusted, done. Endgame is an insult to that film. And it's an insult to the whole franchise. Let's say it as it is. I don't like that film. That's friggin' time travel, man. I think there's been a theme recently. Anytime time travel comes into something, I'm like, nah, I'm good, thanks. You can keep this for me. Because time travel is just time travel cliche on top of time travel cliche on top of time travel cliche. Also, Endgame has some massive plot holes in it. Huge plot holes. So, yeah, I watched a load of Marvel stuff. Did watch this film that I've never seen. Me and my eldest have been working through the Chronicles of Narnia, and I'd said to her, there are some movies out there, so what we'll do is each time we read a book that has a movie, we'll watch the film afterwards and compare it. So we finished Prince Caspian Saturday night, and we watched the film Prince Caspian Sunday afternoon. Very enjoyable experience. Not necessarily for the film. I mean, I've said it before. I enjoy the experience of spending that time with my daughters, my children, because of how they react. I imagine, there are not many adults out there that would sit down and watch a film nowadays and squeal at certain points with excitement and kind of cheer and just be so excited by the premise of watching a film from a book that you've been reading for months, and just that jiggly, sitting still but vibrating at a different frequency sort of thing. That aspect of it, I honestly cannot get enough. The film, on the other hand, deviates from the book in the middle. And I was saying to my eldest, I was like, I think that will be largely to do with, they probably felt the book was a little boring and they probably wanted to jazz it up a bit with the big battle. Unfortunately, that element of the film was quite bad. One of the things that they'd done in the film was they changed quite a main relationship between Peter and Caspian in the book. Peter is very we're just here to help out, we'll back you, you're the king, we're just here, anything you need we'll do, you're the guy, we're just the backup. In the film, Peter's like, I'm the king, or at least I was, and that means I know best because you're not the king yet, and we're here to help you be the king. And that character that they've portrayed in the film is awful. And I was saying, like, if you need yourself a bad guy, he would be the bad guy of the movie, even though he's supposed to be like, I don't know, one of the main good guys. He was definitely the bad guy in that film. But for all the stuff that they did change, they did keep it reasonably close. Wonderful addition of Eddie Izzard doing the voice of the head mouse. That was very entertaining. They made bits from the book longer, and they sort of added bits. The White Witch bit, it's sort of hinted at in the book, whereas in the film they do it a bit more. So as an experience, it was a very good experience, a very enjoyable experience. I certainly enjoyed having that time. As a movie, it wasn't a bad film. It's just, having read the book, you're just left with that same thing that you're left with from every time you watch a film that's based on a book and a book that you've read. You just end up being like, it wasn't as good as the book. They put a bit more, almost like a bit more effort into the film, but that just made, the character of Peter come off really badly, which I didn't feel overly fit the story. Certainly not the story it was based on. Games. So, finished Crisis. A game that got a lot better as it went on, and then fell flat on its face right at the very end, because the end was just super annoying. Like, oh, you're shooting me with a weapon that I can't see and I don't know when you're shooting, and it like freezes you. It's like a freeze ray. Was not a fan of the end of that game, but I did finish it, and by the end of it I felt very much like I'd probably judged it harshly to start with. Yeah, it made me want to play the second and the third ones, which I imagine is probably a good thing. They haven't been remastered, and to buy them, they're only available on the... Well, I was looking on the PlayStation Store, because I was going to say they're only available on the PS3, but that won't necessarily be the case. They're only available on the last generation consoles. So, and you would have to buy them as well, so you'd have to buy them for an older generation, which I didn't overly fancy doing. So we'll see whether they get a remaster. I think they'd maybe struggle to remaster the third one, but the second one maybe. Who knows? I've also been playing EDF 4.1, whatever the hell it's called. Enjoyable. Very much enjoying it, or had been very much enjoying it. My PlayStation 4 is not super happy at the moment. It does this thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to eject the disc. Like, well, you did that about 2 weeks ago, so I took the disc out, so you haven't got a disc in. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to eject it there. Well, you haven't got it. And when it ejects a disc, it beeps. So you'll be playing and it'll just be like beeping away, and you can hear it whirring and trying to eject a disc that isn't in there. So, because of that, and a handful of other things, I have paid £1 English to get Game Pass Ultimate for a month on the Xbox One. It should be £11 because it includes Game Pass and Xbox Gold, Xbox Live Gold. So it combines the two together. One's like £6 on its own, one's £7 on its own. So it's a money saver, just of £11. But first month trial sort of thing, you get it for £1. I was happy to pay £1. So last night I put Crackdown 3 on because I never finished it originally. I got to the very last bit and there was a glitch in the game and I couldn't progress. Put that on last night, and they haven't fixed the glitch in all this time. However, having had 50 attempts at it or something, I managed to find a way round the glitch, which allowed me to progress further and ultimately finish the game. I believe I will have reviewed Crackdown 3 previously. It's a truly awful game. I'm not going to sit here and review it for you now. The end was pretty much the same as the rest of it. It was garbage. It's an insult to its... Well, certainly the first one. The second one was an insult to the first one as well. So, but because I've got this Game Pass thing and I've only got it for a month, I'm currently... I don't know if you might be able to hear it. I was hoping not, but the Xbox One has been churning away for not 24 hours, but certainly more in the region of 12 hours. It's nearly 9:30 now. I think I put it on about 10 o'clock this morning. Keeps turning itself off after a while. But I've just been downloading like everything on Game Pass that I wanted to play. At some point I might actually play something. So yes, I'm going to have a bit of a bash on Game Pass for a month. Which all that means is that I should in theory have some more and quite random games to talk about. So there is that. I actually managed to get to play some VR last week. I played Sorrento, like my go-to game, but I also played Pistol Whip, and I must say at this point in time, Pistol Whip is the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know how much I paid for that game. It wouldn't surprise me if it was in the upper tiers. If it was a £30 game, that wouldn't surprise me. If it was a £15 game, it wouldn't surprise me either. So it's that kind of thing. But they just keep releasing updates for that game. New tracks, new guns, new sort of ways to play. There's like challenges on there now. Loads of tracks, loads of levels, loads of guns. I didn't unlock, they just gave me a series of guns called the Baba Yaga collection. So it's basically like John Wick guns, because obviously it's very heavily based on John Wick. So I've been using a couple of these John Wick guns, and I had to go on some of the new levels, and thoroughly enjoyable. But I haven't paid a penny for any of the stuff that has gone onto that game. And I was totally blown away by the concept that, you know, they make a new level and they give you that level. That's how games should be. You pay your money up front and then you get stuff. If they want to do a DLC, if they want to release a new item for that game, you've already paid your money. You should get whatever it is. It's yeah. Saying stuff like that reminds me of when I bought The Witcher 3 and they did this thing that like the first 150 items, no matter what they were, DLC wise, you would get for free. And then anything after that you had to pay for. And as it was, there was DLCs after that. But that then made me think that yet again Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed. Ironically, I was going to say I've never known a game be delayed like this, but ironically I have, and it was Crackdown 3. And look what ended up coming out of that. Cyberpunk 2077, there is absolutely no way that game can live up to the hype at this point in time. They should have released it 18 months ago, like they were going to, and be done with it. Now they're becoming their own worst enemy. And the statements that they're coming out with, our team, our game developers will be working 6 days a week to get it so that it's ready for release. Alright, well it was ready a while ago, so whatever the hell you're doing to it now can only be a bad thing. Because basically they're just panicking at this point in time. And they just want to bring it closer to a point in time where they can release 2 versions of it. This generation and a next generation version, and double dip. That's all it is. So yeah, I think people are getting a bit sour on the old Cyberpunk. I tuned out a long time ago. I have literally no interest in it. But so just wanted to finish with something, and this could be a little controversial, but we're going to double back on something that I said right at the very start. So I was talking about how my daughter was asking me why I was still fat, and how she was telling me that she's still embarrassed by me, and I was saying, you know, fat shaming is not for everybody, but it is for me. This morning, I got up a little later than I'd wanted. Put my running stuff on, headed out the door. I went the other way, quote unquote the other way, so like backwards or forwards or whatever you want to call it. I got to the point where I normally started and I set off. I got, I don't know, in a way, technically further than halfway. And one of my legs was really hurting, and I was like, oh, man, I think I'm going to have to stop. So I stopped, which is what it is. And I was a little bit, and then I was like, right, get straight back to it. Set off again, and I was like, I've set off too soon. Leg was still hurting, and I was a bit, not winded, but like I hadn't recouped enough. So a little bit later, I stopped again. And I walked a bit, and then I was like, right, I'm ready. Started off, and I ran from there all the way back home. So in actual fact, call it once, call it twice. On my run this morning, I only stopped twice, which not brilliant, not ideal from one perspective. But the last time I ran, I will have stopped 4 times. So, just saying. My intention this morning had been to do the whole thing in one go, and I didn't quite make it, but I certainly came a lot closer than I had been. So we shall see how it goes. So yeah, as you can see, a little bit up and down, a little bit all over the place this week. Who knows? Maybe this is the way things are going to go for a bit, or maybe we'll be back to normal normality, I guess. It wouldn't, whatever it is, next week. That's it for this one. Thank you for joining me, and I will speak to you next time. Bye bye. So there we go. What do you think to that one? Another one done. Cool. YouTube watchers, do subscribe if you can, if you get the chance. It helps us out a lot, and we really appreciate it. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Check for social media links, email links, all that sort of stuff. You can drop us a line. Tell us how you're getting on. So that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.